fourth, we have here it teaches a learner how to act in the new situation. Of course, if you're a teacher, you're capable enough to let your students adopt the new situation is. The best example for this one is the pandemic that we are experiencing right now. Because of this one, we have here a new setup of the class, which is through virtual. So the teacher is let the students deal the new situation, which is to have our face-to-face class. Because we are a future educator, it is our responsibility to lead our students for them to become to have a better learning. And the last one is we have it stimulates learners to find solution and create a new ideas. You need to teach learners or every learners and how to seek solutions in every problem that they encountered for them to become more creative and to have or to discover a new ideas.
Good morning, everyone. In continuation of Chapter 4, Teaching Approaches and Teachers' Pedagogy, I'm Nea Casteles Guerra, and I'm assigned to tackle about the Lesson 3, Teachers' Pedagogy, Approaches, and Method. Lesson 3, Teachers' Pedagogy, Approaches, Methods, Strategies, and Techniques. We are going to present you the definition and establish the main differences among teaching approaches, methods, strategies, and techniques. Teaching approach. Teaching approach is an overview which applies to learning for all kinds of learners. It is a set of principles, beliefs, or ideas about the nature of learning which is translated into the classroom. Example. We learn from the psychology that a person's capacity to learn starts from simple complex, like a child learns how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide numbers before he learns fractions, and later on do algebra. Because of psychological basis, he chooses teaching approach as a spiral. And to teach in a more creative way, your approach might be constructivist, considering that you want your learner to construct their own learning from their prior experiences. Teaching method is the systematic way of doing something. It implies an orderly logical arrangement of steps. It is more procedural. It is the plan that you follow when you're teaching by applying a certain approach. You come up a procedure and practices for teaching your students. This consists of procedure you follow, steps you take, or the outline of action that you have to do. Example, the teaching method will be a class activity, not a lecture.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jolene Pintacase. How are you? I hope that you're doing great. Anyways, for the continuation, I am going to talk about teaching techniques and teaching strategies. Teaching techniques, it is about implementation that which actually takes place in a classroom. It is a teacher's personal style or trick procedure to accomplish in an immediate objective. Remember that teacher adopt or teaching to the kind of students that teacher have just that instruction that is different for every class and for every kind of students. It is maneuvering and tacting. Teaching techniques is a personal way of implementing methods. It is highly individualized and tailor-fitted, customized students with different learning needs and interests. The examples of teaching techniques is that in the classroom setup, so the technique of teacher how to check attendance. So how did he do? Did he do the roll call or did he do the set plan? Let's have another example. If a classroom became distracted, a teacher may use um, silent reading. Yeah. Now let's move on to teaching strategies. Teaching strategies are methods and techniques that a teacher will use to support students through learning process. It requires in a sort of planning, and a teacher will choose or use teaching strategies more suitable to the topic that being studied, the level of expertise of the learner, and the stage in their learning journey. The examples of teaching strategies are um, think, pair, share strategy. So it is a collaborative teaching strategy that where students work together to solve a problem. Another example is peer evaluation. So it is giving feedback on others' work. So that would be the strategy that a teacher may use. So if you're wondering what's the difference teaching techniques and teaching strategies, is that please bear in mind that teaching techniques are steps that we use in order to teach students in an organized way. Moreover, it will help us in order to have a better classes. While teaching strategies, these are methods that we use to teach and to facilitate learning students. And it helps us also to be more creative.
Under teaching approaches and teachers' pedagogy, we have outcome-based teaching and learning process. So, what is it? Why is it? And how do we make it work? So, what is OBTL and how does it differ from traditional teaching and assessment? OBTL, or outcome-based teaching and learning, is a student-centered approach to learning and teaching which has been widely adopted in universities across the world. OBTL is focused not on what the teacher needs to teach, but rather the emphasis is on what is the outcome from the learner of that teaching is intended to be. Traditionally, teachers used to plan their teaching by asking such questions as, what topics do I teach? What teaching methods do I use? And how do I assess if the students have taken on board what I have taught them? On the other hand, OBTL is based on such questions as, what do I intend my students to be able to do after teaching that they couldn't do before? And how do I supply learning activities that will help them achieve those outcomes? And lastly, how do I assess to them to see how well they have achieved? Okay, now why use OBTL? The short answer for this is because it is logical, effective, and both teachers and students find it more satisfying than traditional teaching. Many teachers are initially confused about the difference between the concepts of outcomes, aims, and objectives, and not understand why OBTL, which uses outcomes, is seen more as student-centered. So, to share a brief explanation to this, aims. The aims of the course or program should summarize broad purposes and goals. Aims can be aspirational and are not necessarily easily measurable. And for the objectives, these are seen best as specific intentions. These are intentions that indicate the steps to be taken to achieve our goals as teachers. They should be measurable and indicate the teaching intentions. And for the outcomes, this describes what the learners will be able to do when they have completed their course or program. They are expressed from students' perspective. So, outcome statements begins with the phrase, by the end of this course, you will be able to, and then followed by the short list of outcomes. Now, how does OBTL work? These illustrations shows that as a teachers, we need to ask, what do I want my students to learn? What do I know about my students, and how can I facilitate the learning, and how do I know that learning does happen? So this is how outcome-based teaching and learning work. I hope this will be more comprehensible to us on what, why, and how OBTL plays a huge role for us since we are all soon to become future teachers. Thank you and good day.